Welcome to the Critical Media Studies Podcast. We're your hosts, Mike Rapici
and Barry Fall. Hello, Michael. How are you this fine evening? It's July 4th weekend, almost.
It is. Barry, I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. And we're back in business here. We're in business here. We're recording an episode, and that's what we're doing. And we have a topic for our episode. And I'm going to remind you what the topic of the episode is. We are going to be discussing Daniel Rohr's 2026 documentary. It's only a couple months ago. I think this was released. And the name of the documentary is The AI Doc, or How I Became an Apocaloptimist. And we are going to discuss this fine documentary. And should we say, and I guess we need to give a brief description. I'm looking at Lawrence Lessig's excellent
Review.
review and summary, which we probably will draw upon um, in at some point in the episode. I'm looking to see whether or not I can use a sentence or two, and I think I can. A sentence or two from the beginning of Lessig's Substack post to give a kind of description of the story of the film. And then I have a burning question that I will ask you about our approach, and you're going to talk a little bit more about that. But so it is a film that plays the role of a doc. Oh, this is a little bit of um, a teaser for what we're going to say, right? Because we're going to talk about pharmakons. Look what Lessig, we have a little mind meld here. But it is also a film that plays the role of a doctor of sorts, diagnosing our ills and offering us remedies for the ills it has diagnosed. Just to make it clear, because I don't think I made it sufficiently clear, the AI doc is indeed a documentary about AI, its significance and meaning. But that's interesting. It is a film that plays the role of a doctor of sorts, diagnosing our ills and offering us remedies for the ills it has diagnosed. One or two more sentences. That duality, ooh, it is sounding a little bit like pharmakon. That duality is wrapped in the most human experience possible. The decision, and we should say that this is kind of the crux of the film, the documentarian, and also his Mr. Rohr and his wife. They both have a central kind of role, and also his father. They have major roles in this documentary, along
Yeah.
with the makers and shakers of the AI. And so the decision to have a child, I'm reading Lessig here, the decision to have a child and the anxiety of wondering whether I have a child now makes sense is kind of the core drama of the film. It's the question that the filmmaker returns to. Well, I'll continue reading. The film is shot through with a single question, asked again and again by Roher, himself a father to be. Am I making a mistake on the eve of AI, of AI dominance? Am I making a mistake having a child right now? And I guess maybe I won't say anything more about the film. Maybe this, because we're going to talk about the four parts of the film that we diagnose and kind of comment along the way. So
hmm
maybe, unless you want to take a pass at describing the film, or maybe if not, I'm just going to ask you the main question
Let's get to the
really
main
for
question.
this particular episode,
Let's get
which
into
is
that.
we talked. Uh-huh. Well, we talked about in our pregame show, we talked about applying a friend of the pod, um, or actually not so much a friend of the pod, but a friend, a concept
A
that is a friend of
conceptual
the
pillar
pod,
of the
the
pod.
idea of the pharmacon. Yeah, the conceptual better,
There you
much
go.
better. Conceptual pillar of the pod, the notion of the pharmacon and pharmacologies. And we're going to think about and try to do an application, so to speak, an application of the pharmacological. We're going to be thinking about the film sort of suggests kind of naturally breaks up into four pieces.
Right.
And so we're going to talk about the four pieces and related to what did you say? conceptual pillar of the show, which is the notion, Bernard Stiegler's notion of the pharmakon and pharmacologies. Pass it to you.
Yeah, so the concept of the pharmakon is, and I think it's probably easiest. Barry and I were speaking about this a little bit earlier, applying sort of a grammar to this. And so the pharmakon, if you look at it as a noun, right, is this thing that serves as both a poison and a cure to whatever situation it's applied. Um, I think that,
So it's a thing, but let me just say one thing
yeah.
about that. It's a thing, but in a way that nature, or a lot of times with language, obviously, when you have nouns,
Hmm.
there is a way in which there's a kind of unambiguous, well, oftentimes, not all times, obviously, but oftentimes there isn't that much of a dispute between the word and the concept, right? Like, well, it's a saw. So
Hmm.
you're not going to have existential questions about, wait a minute, you
What?
said, yeah, like, is your saw a table, Michael? Well,
Right.
I just said saw, damn it. So I meant saw. It's not quite that way in the original Greek with the term pharmakon, because the pharmakon basically means cure,
Hmm.
but it can also mean poison.
Yes, and I think that's what I was going to say. The other thing is Stiegler uses the term pharmacology, which I
Mm.
think helps to clarify this sort of question about the term's nounness, if you will, right? And the
Yeah, right, exactly
pharmacology
right.
is
Right.
essentially our relationship to it. So,
Right.
if you look at something, by way of explanation, maybe if you look at something like chemotherapy, right? The cure is that it will kill the cancerous cells. The poison is that it is in fact killing other cells as well, which is
And it
then
feels like hell.
right.
Right, right. And
So,
it's very difficult to
so
get the cure. Right.
right. And so I think the question about AI and the pharmacon is really an interesting one here because we get all different sides
Of
of
whether
the
it's going to
argument.
kill us or cure us.
Right.
So I think we're ready to talk about the first part of the film. Would you like to clarify? And I will help.
So do we want to
Uh,
talk about,
yeah,
yes,
go for it.
I'm wondering if it's not maybe better just to give a quick gloss of the four parts so that we can transition uh, among them a little more easily.
I think that that would be real. I mean, I don't think we need it, but I think a listener might
It might be
indeed
helpful. So, Barry,
might indeed find that helpful.
yeah. So the film is basically divided into four sections, and all four sections involve Rohr discussing the impact of artificial intelligence on the world, and this all pivots on his question of what kind of a world am my wife and I
Bringing my
bringing a
child
child
into,
into,
yeah, any child.
right? And so the first of the four parts is the apocalypse people,
The people have an apocalyptic
elliptic
attitude
take,
toward
right?
AI,
And so
right?
the first quarter you could say is really about AI is going to end civilization. AI is going to kill us. AI is going to enslave us. AI is a bad thing, and we have to be very careful about how we progress and monitor it.
Did we say that for at least three of the parts, the fourth part gets a little bit, it doesn't quite fit this, but for three of the parts, and it's kind of the important, um, it's one of the things that makes this documentary kind of, um, I think necessary, whatever my criticism or our criticisms are. I think if you're interested in